All right, with Bo here, we're trying to build impulse control with fetch, but also build more drive. And see how he's eating stuff? He's a compulsive eater. He eats rocks. He's very close to being a zipper dog. Luckily, everything he eats, he passes so far. So you're going to see me deal with that some. I'm trying to build back up focus and tease him a bit here, and then just let him have it a few times. And so that's one of the ways I can build focus back up, is making it crazy easy for him. Like, I'm not asking for anything except for him to, out it when I ask him to let go of it. And so we're focusing on sit, break, out, and then sometimes place, okay? And so I'm going to kind of explain that as we go through this, where those commands are relevant. He does not come very well yet when he has a toy, and I prefer not to use tennis balls. They're not great for the teeth, but if that's what I need to do to build drive because he loves them, that's what we're going to do for now. I need to get one with a string on it though. But he doesn't hold on to toys really badly. If you're really struggling with your dog not letting go of a ball, you need to get ball on a string. It's super important, but it works for this dog. Okay, so we're going to start outside. You'll see a huge difference when we move inside, but we're going to start outside. And again, the commands are break, which I try to say before I throw it, or I say out before I throw it, which means you can't go and get it. I also always say out whenever I go and reach for the toy. He doesn't have to make a big deal and back away, but he does need to disengage from the toy. Okay, he's very young, so I'm not asking for a lot right now. That's the bare minimum. He knows place and sit really well. So those are our commands that we're adding in. The moment his butt hits the ground for sit, I want to be able to say break and release the toy immediately. This needs to be fast. And if I need to build drive because maybe I've given him a correction, I'm going to do sit, break, 4 or 5 times in a row. Really easy, really fast. It's important. That's a really important aspect to this. I still say out when I go to grab the ball though. That's a really important factor here. Okay, so I'm going to find some specific moments. Right here, you see me just petting him. I don't always say out and take the ball or the toy away right away. Sometimes I'm just like, yeah, good boy. Some dogs you can't do that with. Maybe they get growly, you have guarding issues. That's not him. I don't want him to think I'm always going to take it away from him. Sometimes we're just going to celebrate together, and it's going to be exciting. So you'll see me petting him some. So I'm going to do at least 5 easy ones in a row, which means I ask for a sit, he sits, break, immediate release of the ball. And then here, I just kind of pet him a bit, first before I ask for an out. Sit, break, release right away. Call him back to me. He's been going to place that's on his own. His come, we're working on later. So I don't go for the ball right away sometimes. And then another easy one. He sits and I release it right away. This is to build fun, drive. Really important to do this most of the time. Ask for easy things. Okay, so what do corrections look like? Good boy. Sit. Break. Okay, so I'm going to slow it down a bit. I say out. I pick up the ball, or actually no, the ball rolls, and so that gets him excited. Look, he's still thinking about listening, but I can tell he's going to go for it. So I grab the leash and pop and release and go to pick it up. I don't say anything when I pop the leash. I know that's uncommon. Normally I'm like, no, correction, set up my no. This is different. I want him to feel like he can beat the correction. And so that becomes a game in and of itself. So I don't say anything. And that's kind of important. That tiny tweak has made a big difference. You literally want to say you're out, go to get the ball. No matter what happens, the dog is not supposed to go towards it if you say out. Now, here's the thing. I wasn't set up properly. I should not have set out until I had already had the leash in hand. So I learned from that mistake. Try not to do it again. And hopefully you will too. The leash should already be in your hand before you ask for your out or your sit, place, all of that, leash in hand, because the dog gets very aware that you're grabbing the leash, and they'll fix themselves before you even have a chance if you keep grabbing the leash to give an interruption or a correction. So you want to already have that leash in hand. So just a quick example here, you should already be holding the leash when you say you're out. That way you're ready if your dog doesn't listen. Sit. Break. So that was an example of holding him accountable for obedience. So if I say sit in place and he doesn't do it, I give him a second. He doesn't do it or he doesn't look like he's on his way to do it. Pop the leash. And I don't say anything, and then just break and release it immediately, okay? Immediately. Let's say that he doesn't sit when I pop the leash. Then I'm gonna say no sit, give him a chance again. If he doesn't do it, I might give him a double pop, or I might do pressure to help him out. And that pressure is either directional towards place, if that's what I asked for, or, you know, up in the air for sit, you know, so it just depends on whatever leash pressure you've practiced to teach the obedience. That's what you're applying if you're still struggling. And just to be super clear, puppies that don't have a lot of drive, they're softer, they're new to this, they're under 16 weeks old, make sure you're doing more guidance, pressure, easy practice. Don't start to hold the dog accountable like you've seen me do here, especially with a training tool, until you know they know what you're asking and they're just in a really good headspace. They're ready to be held accountable for it. If you're not there yet, look at my other puppy videos and they'll give you an idea as to other methods, and you can always reinforce what you're asking with leash guidance, which is leash pressure for whatever you're asking, sit, place, down. Now, I really love tug, and so I wanted to include an example of that, and also working inside the house where he's more focused and driven than outside. And so it's really a lot of give and take. I'll let him pull, and then I'll pull, and then I really move it around, because I need to with him. Like, he needs a little bit more encouragement, at least at this stage. So make sure you make that adjustment for your dog. Otherwise, you might accidentally be making your dog crazy and they can't focus or listen because you're amping them up too much. So I'm moving my arm around actively when I want him to tug. And when I say out, he has to out. Gave him a little check of the leash just because he kind of doubled back to bite at it. I say place, quick release as soon as he goes on place. And me celebrating with him, petting him here, just teaches him I'm not always going to just go for the toy right away. It can cut down on resource guarding. Break. Yeah. Okay, so it's hard to see here, but my arm is in motion. And then see how I tuck my elbow in? That's me freezing. I freeze for a half a second before I say out. So that way there's no conflict. I'm not continuing to move the toy around like an animal, like it's live. So I freeze, then I say out, okay? He outed beautifully. I say place. As soon as he goes on to place, I don't even ask for a sit or down yet. It's break and release it. Eventually I'll add a sit or a down, but for now, this is the stage we're at. Make sure you check out part 2 for the full picture of what this should look like. Because the whole point of working with fetch like this, the whole point of it, the impulse control, yeah, we're doing a little, but it's really bare minimum. So the whole point is in video 2. Don't miss it.